Hey, it's TDA, and today we're going to be playing some more Empires of the Undergrowth. Specifically, we are going to be playing with the Leafcutter ants. Now, these ants were completely different from the previous ants that we've been playing with. These Leafcutter ants are actually going to be collecting, well, leaves, you guessed it, but they are going to be turning that leaves into fungus, and that fungus is actually going to be the thing that we feed off. However, the fungus itself also attracts some basically poisonous fungus, which we are going to have to put in a different area of our base so it can decompose without harming us instead. So there's a whole different dynamic going on. There are some smaller ants as well that do most of that work, which we are not going to be able to directly control, but we also get these giant leafcutter ants that you've seen in the previous episode. Now, the narrator is going to explain all of this at the beginning of the episode as well, but I want to fill you in straight away so you can kind of follow along with what I'm doing, because I won't be able to explain it over the narrator, or I would just have to turn him off, but well, he's kind of nice to listen to. So let's jump in. Once again, I'm going to be playing on the challenge mode, which means that we're going to have some insidious flies that are going to be annoying, and we also get to pick an upgrade for our large leafcutter ants. Now, we can either have them taunt and make them really strong for a limited period of time, or we can just have them stun. I'm actually going to go for this option, because I think stunning the enemy and making sure they don't do any damage at all is just better than having them taunt and not take damage for a little while. Generally speaking, I just think this is the better option, but I don't know, I might be wrong. Let's find out.
This young queen has successfully raised her first daughters beneath the leaf litter of the rainforest floor. The nutritious fungus she fed them as larvae is now dwindling. If they don't find food quickly, they will all starve. Unfortunately for the ants, overground swarms of parasitic phorid flies are beginning to hatch. Leafcutter innards provide perfect incubation chambers for the young of these insidious insects. The juicy grubs nearby are a staple meal for many underground opportunists, but for now at least, they will go ignored. This budding Atacephalotis leafcutter colony has only one viable source of food, and it must be collected above ground. The small scouting party of minor workers could lead any number of deadly jungle creatures back to their undefended queen. They will need time and luck on their side. The workers have located a patch of young seedlings, just what they were looking for. The leaves are soft enough to be sliced up with ease and carried back to the nest. Over time, waste builds up in the fungus gardens, and if left unchecked, it can attract necrotrophic parasites. To deal with this problem, Atacephalotis dig out subterranean waste heaps, preferably as far as possible from the healthy nursery chambers.
So yeah, we're going to be stacking the waste in the back of our base, so it's kind of out of the way. You can see it's decomposing, and these tiny little ants, not these ones, but actually the really tiny versions, bring the stuff there. The
activities outside the nest have not gone unnoticed. They are being watched.
There is some creatures here that we don't like, so let's go the other direction. And let's cut up some more leaves. The start of this level is probably going to be the same as any other. We're going to start to build up our worker army, and then add some more leaf cutters to that. Now these are actually a little bit more expensive than their
This colony must remain small for now.
counterparts.
Food is too scarce to support greater numbers.
How much do these cost? 80 food. Oh, sorry, I thought it was 60. And 150 for the larger ones. So, but we do need some actual angry, stronger ants. So we're going to need to invest in that for sure. As you can see, we are building up a decent amount of fungus as well. Or dead fungus, I should say. So we need to make sure we have enough space to kind of carry that off. We don't need a massive amount of this stuff, but you do need to make sure you have enough, of course, because otherwise you are going to get into trouble. Now, the nice thing is that the further I expand my actual territory over here, the more space I have to actually store fungus. So you are actually increasing your food stockpile by just expanding your base. Look at that, they're climbing into the trees, cutting down the leaves. It's a nice visual we have going on here.
The most accessible leaves are located to the north of the nest entrance. However, another atta colony has already laid claim to them. The close proximity of these nests places the two colonies in direct competition with one another. Time will tell which has the potential to grow into a great empire, and which will submit to the unforgiving law of the Undergrowth.
So we are basically going to have to race the opponents to collect some leaves, and honestly the best way to do that is just making sure we have more ants than they do, so we can collect them faster. We do of course need to make sure we have something that looks like an army as well. Currently that's 2 ants, so we're going to have to bring in some more than that. Now, unlike in the previous levels, there's not really that much reason to go explore underground because there's no food for us here, just enemies. So we kind of just want to work around the enemies so we don't have to waste our precious resources on trying to fight them.
The predators of the night begin to emerge.
So the idea that I'm going for here is that I'm just going to build a massive worker army first, try to collect as much food and as quickly as possible, and then start building my army. Now it is night now, so that's a bad thing, and we also have these flies over here, which I'm not entirely sure what they will do, so I will have to clear them out pretty soon, I believe, but for now let's just focus on building our army with the food we have available to us. Now we don't have the luxury of just staying underground and starting clearing out our ground base during night, because again there's no food for us here, so we need to be active even during the night, which actually makes the whole thing work quite a bit differently than it was with the previous ants, because well, there we were just staying hidden and safe, especially during the first few nights. I do like how we are kind of crawling all over the place here. Let's see, there is a little bit more food down here. Sometimes it's really hard to tell which of these leaves you can actually collect and which ones you can't, so that's a little bit annoying. It's something we'll just have to deal with, I think. Generally speaking, it's these larger plants that you can actually cut up. So I have this whole depository up here that is actually taking care of all the dead fungus really fast, so that's working. I do want some of these larger ants now as well, so let's add those to the mix. Do we still have food here? It seems like we're still collecting some at least, but we are running out by the looks of it, so we might need to go and fight some stuff soon. There is some more food up here, and we do have enough to build another one of these larger ants to help with that.
The Leafcutters have raised their first major ant. Its swollen head is filled with muscle to power its crushing jaws. Few stand against it in combat and escape unscathed. This champion warrior will make a fine addition to the colony.
We're going to have to place some more of these leaf placing areas, because otherwise I won't be able to bring in all that food. At least not efficiently. Now the nice thing is we don't need as much plant storage as we needed before in terms of the food storage, because well, there's only one place for all of that stuff to go. So let's go for this thing now. There's a little creature here.
A young worm, Oroperipatis
but this large
ecuadoriensis, is lurking overground. These ancient mysterious predators are masters of ambush. They creep toward their unwitting victims silently on soft hollow legs. Once in range, they squirt oscillating streams of slime, forming a wide net that entraps their prey.
I like how we get the whole scientific National Geographic type of explanation while we're playing. Has a nice little vibe to it. Let's keep expanding our army. More is better, I believe, so we can kind of make sure we have a decent throughput in terms of the leaves we're collecting. How are we doing versus our enemy? We are a little bit behind, but we're not falling that far behind, I believe, so we should be fine. Let's expand the colony a little bit in this direction so we can add some more of these workers. And we also might want to clear out a little bit of this area so we can have some more of the larger ones as well. We have some ants here that are attacking us. I'm not entirely sure where they came from, but...
Leafcutters aren't the only ants nearby. Whilst the two atta colonies joust for territory, Odontomachus Bowery trapjaws roam the clearing. They can be found hunting alone or in small packs for vulnerable invertebrates to take back to their nest. They use snapping jaws to bludgeon their targets, exerting 300 times their body weight in a single blow.
So the nice thing with these leafcutter ants is actually that you kind of get a whole trail of these ants that are just exporting the food. So rather than just kind of hogging an area and then stealing all the resources and running back, you actually get a constant stream of ants running back and forth. Let's clear out this enemy so we have a little bit more room to work with. Let's have a secondary colony of worker ants. That might be really useful. Are we still collecting food here? Yeah, we are. So every now and then I get this message that we are losing some ants to the flies, but honestly it doesn't seem to be that bad. I do think we need a little bit of a bigger army as well, so I'm going to have to be working on that.
A fly has injected one of the workers with an egg. The ant's internal organs will be slowly dissolved and consumed by the developing larva.
I think they're carrying a little bit too big of a leaf there, and they seem to be dying in the process. Not entirely sure what's going on with that, but I don't think there's much I can manually do about it.
A fly has injected one of the workers with an egg. The ant's internal organs will be slowly dissolved and consumed by the developing larva.
Okay, so it seems like we're pulling ahead now in terms of the number of leaves that we are needing now to... It looks like we're pulling ahead in the number of leaves now, however we are collecting them quite far away from our base now, which is a little bit inconvenient. So I am actually wondering...
The
well,
battle
actually
has begun.
Have a lot of room to expand here still. What are we fighting? That spider still? Yeah, it is. And some ants apparently. Well, we have some of our large leaf cutters now, so shouldn't be too much of a problem, I think. Honestly, playing with these ants almost feels like you're playing an automation game, because we're just setting up an entire, almost like a belt of ants, just exporting and importing as much as we can, then putting it in our base, making sure we have enough space for that, which by the way means I should probably start upgrading this a little bit more. And then we're turning that into fungus and that more ants.
Improve these leaf stores.
I really love how this looks with all of these ants crawling in these plants and cutting up the leaves. So like the tiny ants crawling all over the place, dealing with the fungus. We have quite a bit of fungus now actually, which is mostly because we've been collecting a huge amount of leaves. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And look at this whole trail of ants crawling up and down. And we are going to be adding some more ants to that, because, well, that's what we do here. But it looks like we're doing okay. There's quite a large group of ants here that are responding to the attack that we just had, but the black ants are actually fighting off the other leafcutter ants as well, so that's interesting. I'm just trying to snipe these resources away from them, basically. We are already at almost 9,000 of the 11,000 we need, so far so good. So what else is there to do then? Add some more ants to the mix. Look at this whole fungus recycling area over here. It's pretty awesome, and we actually do need it, because as you can see we still have over 1,000 of the wrong type of fungus, so that's a problem. So, you know, when in doubt and when you have some more food to spend, why not just build even more ants? I mean, we are getting a steady flow of resources incoming now, so we might as well put it to use.
The colony is falling behind. With their demise at hand, they have no choice but to strike back at their opponent.
They're going to attack? What? Well, I wish them good luck, because we have, what? Over 100 ants. Once again. And I don't think we are in a bad position at all. We have over 60 of the more hostile ants, and a huge amount of those are actually the larger ones. So the larger leaf cutters are so awesome to look at, and they're actually pretty effective at doing their job as well. They can fight all day you want. I just need to collect a little bit more than 1,000 more leaves, and then we're done.
The colony is starving. There's not enough food to feed the new brood.
There's not enough food, really. I don't know, but we have plenty of food. You just need to actually turn it into fungus. So that is why I actually made a couple more worker ants in the actual base itself. Because as it looks now, we actually have a bit of a bottleneck with these ants not being able to keep up with all the food incoming. And just a few more leaves. There we go.
The ants have subdued their rivals and achieved dominion over the clearing. As the competition withers, they will extend their territory in all directions, firmly establishing their agricultural empire. One day this colony will number in the millions.
So what I really liked about this level is that it actually teaches you how to macro. You actually have to set up a very efficient type of economy. The next level, on the other hand, is going to have us deal with fire ants, which is going to be a whole different cup of tea, but you'll just have to join me for that. For now, if you're still here, you're awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one.